I identify as Korean. That's just my culture. That's my home country. That's exactly how I look now.
I now introduce to you trans Korean. Suddenly I need Jesus.
Identifies as trans Korean.
Oli London said
they are now transracial.
Racial transition surgery.
Racial transition surgery.
Over 15 surgeries, 125,000
euros.
Decided to have
very extreme
$150,000 worth of plastic surgery.
They, them, Korean, Jimin.
You can't turn a person into a pronoun.
Identified as Korean.
It gives
Oli London is just as Korean as Caitlyn
Jenner
Jenner
is
is a woman. Korean.
Someone's
non-Korean.
So then
between.
are we like condensed into an aesthetic?
There's no history of
we would have made fun of in the past.
Society is going to draw the line.
And they're just jumping on it as yet another opportunity to invalidate the trans community. We're still here. Hey guys, welcome back. So my camera just stopped recording and the video didn't save, so we're gonna film this video a third time. It seems to be a running theme with my Oli London videos since the last one that I did. But anyways, yeah, so in case you haven't been updated on what is going on, Oli London has decided that non-binary, transracial, trans-Korean, they, them, Korean, Jimin pronouns, even though Korean and Jimin are both proper nouns, but whatever, are those even considered semantics? I don't know. There are a few things that happened right after I posted the video, which is so bloody convenient for me. Caught the attention of right-wing media, and he's basically making the argument that if you're with transgender people but you're not supporting transracial people, then you're hypocritical, you're transphobic, you're transracist, you're all of these things. So yeah, anyways, Ben Shapiro, Zuby, Blaire White, and a number of right-wing media outlets have decided to respond to this. Now, there is nuance in the opinions coming from these people. There are people that are just weirded out by it and don't know what to think. There are people like Ben Shapiro who are making the argument that Caitlyn Jenner is no more a woman than Oli is transracial. And then there's people like Blaire White basically making the distinction between transracialism and transgenderism by bringing up the existence of gender dysphoria, which for many people, as far as I'm aware, is prerequisite for transgenderism and is what drives them to transition. So basically, gender dysphoria is a condition where a transgender person has similarities in the brain activity and brain structure to that of the gender of which they identify as later in life and the one that they transition into. I've read that that exists in non-binary people as well. Blaire White was coming from that angle, saying there is no such history or scientific basis for transracialism as there is for transgender people. Transsexuals, transgender people have existed like way before the 21st century. Like they've existed for centuries, whereas transracial people, there have been like a few people here and there popping up over the years. They've mainly been doing it just for attention. Like think about Rachel Dolezal. There's this dude that injected melanin in himself to make himself look black. There was this girl on Dr. Phil that thinks she's white and thinks black people are disgusting despite the fact that she herself is a black woman. She's made the distinction from that angle. So yeah, draw your own conclusions there. But yeah, unsurprisingly, he and all these other right-wing commentators and whatever, besides Blaire White, are taking advantage of this and using it as a way to invalidate transgenderism and trans people. Their tweets have mainly just been basically, I guess, trolling Oli. I don't know if Oli's falling for it, but they're basically trying to troll Oli, like being like, trans Koreans are real Koreans, trans Korean rights, live your truth, and all of this stuff. To make the argument that you're hypocritical to support transgenderism but not transracialism is like making the argument that you're hypocritical to support gay people, pan people, bi people, whatever, but not to support MAPs, which is obviously untrue. For those who don't know, MAPs are minor attracted people. They're this community on Twitter basically trying to use this idea that like you can't change who you are, your sexuality isn't your choice, to support pedophilia. Now, first of all, pedophilia is a psychological disorder. It is not a sexuality. Sexuality is not predicated upon age. It's predicated upon gender and sex. So yeah, that's all I'm gonna say about that. But yeah, so it's literally making the same argument. There is no basis for transracialism. There's no historical basis. There's no scientific basis. So it's not the same thing as supporting transgenderism. Oli London having these surgeries to slant their eyes and to, I guess, try and emulate this stereotypical caricature of an Asian person person. It can be classified as yellowface. In short terms, it's basically the equivalent of blackface. Blackface was something used by white people decades ago, where they would put on dark makeup on their bodies, really, and they would exaggerate stereotypical black features and then make fun of them. And I don't really see the distinction between that and what Oli's doing. Something that has happened is that Oli London has claimed BTS obsession is not the reason for identifying as Korean. So I'm going to open that article now and read what it's about. So the British influencer who underwent 18 surgeries to look like BTS singer Park Jimin says the K-pop band isn't their reason for identifying as Korean, it's the country as a whole. Oli London, who identifies as non-binary and changed their name to Jimin, tells TMZ they became transracial after falling in love with Korean culture while living in the Asian nation, and their BTS obsession is a physical inspiration that led to a lot of plastic surgery. While Oli tells us they worship Jimin, the BTS singer, like a god and aspired to be like him in every single detail, their transition is really more about a love for everything that makes up Korea, the food, the people, the lifestyle. As you know, the influencer is identifying as Korean after undergoing the knife a whopping 18 times for a variety of plastic surgeries, including loads of work on their eyes, nose, and jaw. Look at him before the transition and then look at him after the transition. Anyways, Oli says the transition started long before their first plastic surgery, and they say Rachel Dolezal provided the inspiration to come forward with their truth. TMZ broke the story. Rachel, a white woman who infamously identifies as black, is embracing Oli's choice to identify as Korean. Big surprise there. Oli says more plastic surgery to look like Jimin is on deck, but that's not the reason they feel 100% Korean. When Oli first started, they were the kid that was insecure about their appearance. Then they decided, you know what, that's not giving me enough clout. Let's make the claim that we're trying to look like a famous K-pop singer, and chose a random person, Jimin, in this case. And, you know, I could go into detail about why I don't think he gives a flying crap about Jimin, but I'm not going to because I already have done that. So go check out this video if you want to know. But yeah, anyways, so he went from the insecure person to the person that wants to look like Jimin to the person that is obsessed with Korean culture and wants to transition into a Korean. If Oli London really did want to identify as Korean, transition to a Korean person, whatever, first of all, he could have just gotten a Korean citizenship and he would have been recognized as a Korean. But second of all, he would not think of Korean people as a stereotypical caricature with the slanted eyes and everything. He would also make more of an effort to, one, learn Korean, and would not view it as simply the aesthetic, the kimchi, and the music, when it's clear that his obsession with Korea is purely those three things, and he does not have a clear understanding or respect for the culture. He's just a next level troll. Like, the fact that he's managed to transcend K-pop and to transcend BTS and actually gain attention from right-wing media is just crazy to me. This video is probably really messy because there's just so much like on my mind about it, so much that's happened. Let me know what you guys think. Go check out my other videos on Oli London if you want more context. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.